Okay, I think we're recording now. So thank you so much, Reverend Zsolt, for being here. And yeah, I'll let you, kind of maybe introduce yourself. And we have until about 4 o'clock. So however we can best spend this. So we have about 50 minutes. Yeah,
Okay.
please. Thank you so much. And I'm just so excited you're here.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And it's exciting. I'm a teacher, but in high school, not for university students. So it's a new kind of role for me that I can be a guest lecturer. I was running my mouth for like 2 weeks that I'm going to be a guest lecturer at a university. So this is all exciting. But thank you very much for introducing yourselves. It, uh, it it makes me happy that I get a little bit of glimpse of who you are and where are you from and what are your dreams for your futures. And I should introduce myself as well, I believe, after every one of you did. My name is Reverend Zsolt Elekes. Hungarian is hard, so I'm not expecting every one of you to pronounce my name correctly. I am Hungarian, uh, specifically Transylvanian Unitarian minister. Uh, I work as a school chaplain, as I just shared, in one of the two Unitarian high schools in Transylvania. Yes, we have Unitarian high schools, which are pretty cool places for the youth to live. My congregation is 800 kids and 70 teachers, so my life is crazy. Besides that, my more stable job is a half-time job at the Hungarian Unitarian Church that I'm serving, and that position is one of international relations officer. So I am the one in charge for all the international relations all across the globe, which is very, very exciting. And I think that I am one of the luckiest persons alive to be serving these two kind of communities, one the global and one the young and youth community. And my dreams for the future is to change the world, basically. Obviously, I'm fully aware that alone nobody can change the world. So I'm dreaming many, many communities that can join together forces and together with the magic of small steps, with humility, with wisdom, we will be able to bring change around the world in Hungary, in Romania, in the United States, and everywhere. And with that, I think I'm gonna jump in the subject that uh, we are here for today. And I'm gonna share my screen. And Unitarians don't have dogmas. We don't have dogmas over here as well. But basically, I have a personal dogma as a teacher. There are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. If at any point in my presentation you have a question, you just unmute yourself and ask me the question, and I will stop. Please. So this is the dogma for today. Uh, I have a tendency to run my mouth. I have a tendency to speak fast. If something is not understandable, if something is not clear, you just stop me, and I'm gonna listen to your question and answer it. Hopefully, answer it. Um, Here goes my screen sharing, and here goes the drama.
Okay, I may end up
Oh,
taking you up on asking you to repeat
please.
yourself. I have auditory processing disorder, so accents are particularly hard for me sometimes. So I may not understand you, even though you have a really clear English. Like there might be points where I have
Thank
to
you.
ask you. So I don't mean any offense, but I do have to ask people that with accents a lot sometimes to
Right.
repeat themselves.
Yes, thank you very much, Lisa. I try to pay attention to speak a little bit slower and try to bring my best Hollywood English. And also,
Thank you.
in the global network, when we are talking with a lot of folks from around the globe, I it helps me very much to turn on the captions because sometimes the captions figure it out for me. So maybe that's a pro move in this regard as well that can help. But I'm sure that you already know that. Um, what are we seeing in my screen? Complicated land of Transylvania. Um, and this is the part of land that we will be talking about for the next 25 minutes. Transylvania is this region inside the mountains. Transylvania literally means in Latin the land beyond the forest. Silva in Latin is forest, and trans is beyond. And this piece of land used to be its own kingdom, used to be part of Hungary for like 800 years, today, since the First World War, is part of Romania. In the First World War, Hungarians were on the losing side, and Transylvania was given as a war prize to Romania. A significant Romanian population lived already in Transylvania. Then in the Second World War, it was given back to Hungary. Hungary was again on the losing side, and it was given to Romania. So this is why we are talking about the Hungarian Unitarian Church, but you can see on the map that we are in Romania. Unitarians in Transylvania are ethnic Hungarians. Around 98% of our membership are Hungarians. So we are a minority in Romania, and we are living in this region. We are actually a double minority, both ethnically and spiritually. So we are Hungarians living in Romania, and we are liberals living in a 95% conservative Christian country. Not fundamentalist, not a crazy right-wing country, but very deeply rooted in Orthodox Christianity, and Orthodox theology is fairly conservative in this regard. So this is what you need to understand about our context and culture as we will move forward on with exploring a little bit about our land. Eco-history is what you are witnessing here, the history of countering oppression. The painting here depicts the historical Diet of Torda, which happened in 1568, and this is where, for the first time in the history of Europe, the proclamation of religious freedom happened. If you knew only about Dracula when you heard about Transylvania, this is another thing that we are proud of and we should be famous for. And you can forget the Dracula stuff, and you can be proud that Unitarians were the first ones in the history of Europe, of the Western world, to proclaim religious freedom in a time in Europe where religious wars were extremely trendy, and where Catholics were killing Protestants, Protestants were killing Protestants. um, you can look up some of these stories, and Michael Servetus would be one of the most famous one, who was killed by John Calvin, who was a Protestant Reformed leader. And David Francis, who is standing in the middle of this picture inside the Catholic Church of Torda, is the person who was the court preacher of the king. And in Europe, in that time, in the 16th century, there was a general constitutional law, which is called eius regio, huius religio, which means whoever rules the region dictates the religion. And David Francis would have had the power, because he was the preacher in the court of the king, to convert everybody to Unitarianism. He studied in the Western Europe, in Germany, and he developed a Unitarian way of thinking. Basically, he figured out upon his lectures on the Bible that the Holy Trinity cannot be explicitly found in the Bible, and he established the Unitarian, then called an anti-Trinitarian religion. And what he decided was not to pursue the king to turn the entirety of Transylvania Unitarian. It would have been in his power, but what he was advocating for is to establish religious freedom law in Transylvania, where it is prohibited for a for a community to have a preacher that they don't agree with, and where it is illegal to hurt each other or to kill each other for religion. What is this showing you as people who are attending this class for Communities Against Counter-Oppression? Is that, at least in my reading, is that humanity is more important than the individual. And the person could have gained and already had a lot of personal influence and political influence, and they decided to turn it into the betterment of our society. It would have been very easy to turn it into an individual or egoistic privilege, but they turn it into something that is relevant even today for us, and for us Unitarians especially. And yeah, I think we can be proud Unitarians today that we have a heritage like this, and it has been ongoing for 450 years. And I think this is how we should envision also our future. And I'm glad that we've been talking about our our dreams for the future. How can we be catalysts for change, but a type of change that is everlasting and that is inspirational for communities to pay forward to future generation. And this is what we are cherishing as Unitarians, and this is what we are witnessing in this photo. Enough of the early history. Let's go forward because otherwise we'll be here for 3 hours. Um, what you're seeing here is the center of Unitarianism, basically, the center of Kolozsvár, the city that I'm talking to you at this moment. The St. Michael's Catholic Church right now. It used to be a Unitarian church for around 150 years. Basically, the entire city of Kolozsvár, which is the de facto capital of Transylvania, used to be Unitarian. And many Catholic kings came around, and after like 150 years, they gained enough power to reclaim the church, and they ousted the Unitarians from basically from the entirety of the city. For around 150 years, um, we were worshiping in small houses, in the community members' houses, and we were not allowed to have any infrastructure, not a church, not a school, not a parish house. And this was one of the darkest moments for our history, and this is to show how you can thrive under oppression. And this is also an important message for us. Uh, when not so benevolent forces are coming, uh, your institutions and your infrastructure can be erased. That is happening in Ukraine at the moment at a very large scale. But at the level of your soul, nobody can erase your values, what you believe in. And despite we established the Religious Freedom Act, it was not respected for many centuries. There were kings who shared in their letters that if it would be in their power, they would erase the Unitarians from the face of the earth. But because they sworn on the proclamation of religious freedom when they became king, that is not possible under constitution for them. So this is how we survived. The church is still here in the center of Kolozsvár. We are worshiping in another church that you can see in this picture. This is the downtown Unitarian Church in Kolozsvár, and what you can see on the two sides are two Unitarian schools. Actually, I'm talking to you from this building here. Kevin knows, from this window. So I'm right beside the school. When times became more peaceful and we were allowed to build infrastructure again, guess what? We did not build churches. We started to build schools. And that was our priority since the beginning of our church. This little school building here was the first Unitarian high school after the Catholic dominance. And when it became too small, because many Unitarian kids from all across Transylvania came to Kolozsvár to study, when it became too small, we built the current Unitarian high school, which hosts a dormitory up in the attic and houses the bishop's office in this corner and all the 800 kids that I'm serving. And this is the landmark institution for us Unitarians. This is where many of the projects are starting. This is where our archives, libraries are, and this is from where we are organizing most of our projects, or from where we are supporting many of the local grassroots projects. And this is where we are at the present. If you have any questions until now about our history, heritage, and all the 450 years, it is the time to ask. If not, we are going to move towards the
There was
modern
a
era.
question in the chat, Reverend Zsolt. Just can you clarify what city the photo is of?
Yes, so Kolozsvár is the Hungarian name of it, and this is how I'm going to refer to it as a Hungarian. Cluj-Napoca is the Romanian name for it, and both names are validly used. Yes, and I'm seeing Rachel is raising her hand, and I'm curious about
Yeah,
question.
I went to a public school. I didn't go to a religious school, but I'm wondering what distinguishes a Unitarian high school?
Uh-huh.
What is the, I don't know, foundation that makes it different than just going to a secular high school?
Wonderful question. Thank you very much. Basically, imagine a Sunday school happening every day. What are we teaching in so What distinguishes our school is that the entire curriculum and the entire educational model is inspired by the Unitarian theology, Unitarian spirituality. What this means in practice is that we have, in the high school level, we have two separate classes, two parallel classes. One is a Unitarian theology class, that is the humanities class, and the other one is a mathematics informatics class. That's where all the wise kids are. And the two together are really symbolizing how faith and reason, or faith and science, can go together. One class is the humanities class. They are the ones who are attending choirs, and we have been to the US last year with 40 kids to a choir tour on the East Coast, which was amazing. And they are the hippie guys in the school, or hippie girls, or the hippie people in the school. And they are the ones who always volunteer. They are the ones who always knock on my office that I want to do this, I envision that. And the other class is the very wise kids. They are the ones who are making our school statistically being the best school in Transylvania, the best Hungarian school in Transylvania. And those children are the wisest ones. They are the ones who are going to the Olympics, and they are the ones who are rationally grounded in our spirituality. So this is how you should envision our school. This is to say that uh, humanities and rationality are going together very well, and this is where I believe that in our institutions we can see how faith and reason can go together very peacefully, and in with the help of each other, they can contribute, one with their knowledge, the other one with their youthful energy, to many projects that we are organizing. I don't want to go into what type of classes we have: Unitarian theology, Unitarian biblical studies, Unitarian hymns, music, and stuff like that, besides all the other biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, and everything that you can find in the regular school. One more sentence: we are part of the Romanian educational system. This is why you see the Romanian flag here. Uh, there we have a European Union one as well, but it's not in the picture. So this means that we are integrated in the Romanian educational system. The Romanian state is paying for the salary of the teachers, but we have ownership over the school's curriculum, and the bishop's office can appoint teachers and can take back the appointment of teachers if the teachers are not in alignment with our values. So this is kind of the symbiosis that we are living in this high school, uh, diplomatically and organizationally. Excellent question, Richard. Thank you for making me clarify this and making me describe. Okay, I'm gonna move on, and once again, stop me whenever you feel that you have a question. Uh, you have watched the video footage about Verespatak, which is Roșia Montana in Romanian, and this is the gold mine that has been talked about in the video. Right now, I'm gonna share you a couple of projects about our contemporary issues and how we are trying to live our faith and to put our faith in action. This village is a multi-ethnic and multi-religious small village of around 500 people. It houses multiple churches, such as the Unitarian one. And the fun thing is that this Unitarian church is our only Unitarian church from around 150 churches that we have that has no membership anymore. The Unitarians either moved from the village or passed away, basically. And we still try to preserve the building. And we are doing that with each and every one of our churches. Why is that? When the controversy started with the gold mine, and the controversy was not about mining gold, because that has been done for thousands of years in the area. The controversy was about the technology that the Canadian company wanted to use, which is a cyanide-based, very toxic technology that created the danger of, one, ousting this community upon a natural disaster, if that would have happened, but it would have basically poisoned the river which sources entire communities from different counties, and that would have been an environmental tragedy. The company did not want to use any other technology, and this is where we as faith leaders stepped up, and this is why we were incredibly happy that we preserved the church that had no membership anymore, because the church became the center of advocacy in the village. And we populated the church again with people who were not even from the village, but they were deeply um involved in this advocacy process. And the video that you saw a full church that was brought there by buses. And this is also a message of counter-oppression and how are we valuing our infrastructure. Are we selling our buildings once it doesn't become financially meaningful to keep them? Or are we keeping them because maybe at some time in point it will become a significant uh, ground for social change? And I wanted to share this story with you today on this counter-oppression course, mainly because of the example that this church settles in an area where you couldn't have imagined 20 years ago that there would be such a controversy. It's a far and distant area, but still, every church is basically carrying the message of we are here with our spirituality, with our faith, with our values, and you cannot overlook us. The local community was incredibly grateful for what we have did. Right now, this entire gold mine is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is the result of 10 years of advocacy, of heavy advocacy against Romanian corrupt politicians to basically tell the Canadian gold mining company to not buy any more citizens and not to corrupt any more politicians. And if they want to use an environmentally safe technology, they can feel free to do so. If they don't, they will not be able to mine gold from here. That's also a little bit of an anti-capitalist success on our mostly social democrat land. I wanted to see a couple of links more, if I can, because the Zoom thing is up here in just a second. And then we will be going on to the questions and answers. I will minimize my screen because I cannot. Just a second. Sorry. Now, how am I going to be able to do this? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Sorry for the confusion. And then I'm going to share again. Here we go. Here I have my very small screen. Now, what are the things that we are trying to do at the moment uh, in the last 10 years, let's say, since I started my studies, to raise our voices against injustice and to do the meaningful work of everyday counter-oppression. In the United States, it is very, very common, and in Canada as well, to speak up for politics, for political values. In Europe, and especially in Eastern Europe, that is very, very, very unusual that churches are involved in politics. Why is this? Mainly because in your places, the separation of church and state happened, in my opinion, perfectly. I know that right now we can have a debate about that. Here in Transylvania, the church and the state are going together, basically. The church is heavily funded by the state. We are paying tremendous taxes. We are paying 42% taxes of every salary. And basically, this created a functioning social democracy. But because most of our taxes are the government, they are paying back with through cultural channels to the churches. My salary is paid by the government as well. So just imagine a Unitarian minister paid by the government. That's kind of funny, but this is our social context. So because of this, it is very unusual that we are involved in politics because basically, however governmental changes are happening, we need to work with them pragmatically. They are because otherwise we could say goodbye to our institutions. And last year, sorry, was the first time where a Trump kind of person ran for president and made it to the second round, and the Democratic person was running against them, and we felt that we need to overstep that red line that we had been establishing for ourselves, and we were the ones who publicly advocated for one candidate, and we were the ones who not pressure, but invited all the other churches to do so, and they did, and it created a success. It wasn't our success; it was a societal success, but it was the first time when with all the other conservative or dogmatic religions, we joined partnerships in terms of politics. So that is a success that I really like. Another insuccess, and I didn't want to show you only the beautiful sides of us living in Transylvania, is our advocacy for LGBTQ rights, which are at the core of our partnership with you guys and with everyone else. In 2016, we were the only church in the entirety of Romania to try to advocate for marriage equality, and this is our the deputy bishop, Reverend David Gyerő, who was also the president of the International Council of Unitarians and Universalists, giving a lecture about LGBTQ rights. Now, this created such a turmoil in both Hungary and Romania that basically both governments told us that either we shut up with this issue specifically, or we are going to get completely defunded, and that means that no schools, no youth association, no charity organization will be able to function anymore. And this created a huge controversy inside our church as well. Obviously, they split our church, and this is one of the saddest stories from the recent history of our church, on how government interference will bring change towards church bodies. And we needed to hold a synod, which we are very rarely are holding, and we need to discuss this issue, and we need to make a pragmatic decision of kind of wink wink saying that we are promoting traditional family values. Everybody in Transylvania knows that if they have a gay kid, they can safely bring them to our school because they will be in a safe place. Everybody knows that we are giving a blessing towards gay couples. What they asked us is that we are not going public with this because they cannot fund an organization that is going publicly completely against their values. So this is also part of our reality and our counter-oppression struggle, and also our faith struggle on how to deal with situations like this. So I'm guessing that this would be an interesting topic at the Q&A as well, and I really wanted to mention this. David was the president of the ICUU, of the International Council of UUs, and this is where I'm turning our view towards the global network and what we can achieve globally. When the minister in Burundi, Reverend Fulgence Ngadejimana, who right now goes by Muibutsa, by his African name, and he lives in Canada, was imprisoned basically for his values in Burundi. If there wouldn't have been an international community that was paying attention to this situation, most likely Reverend Fulgence wouldn't be alive today. He was at a gunpoint. He was held in police secret service custody, actually, and he was talking to their kidnappers, and they were sharing interesting stories, how many kids they have, and basically the kidnappers told him that whenever we receive the order, we need to shoot you. And fortunately, the counter-government rushed the village on the advocacy of the ICUU and of the UUA's United Nations office, and saved him from the hands of the kidnappers. And he needed to flee the country, and the Canadian Unitarians welcomed him, and now he lives as a spiritual and a religious refugee in Canada, but still supporting the Burundi community. And this is also a topic that is close to our hearts, or my hearts. If you are interested in what the global network is doing, it's not doing much at the moment. We are in the place of reconstruction, of frustratingly long reconstruction, but hopefully a meaningful one. You can visit the website uuglobalnetwork.org. We are at the brinks of launching a Discord network where we can keep contact on a day-to-day basis, and we are months away of creating an infrastructure for a platform basically where everybody can share their thoughts and bring inspiration from UU communities, and I'm looking forward to that moment. And I'm going to close my presentation, my guest lecture, with our most recent projects. Obviously, the Ukrainian war is at our borders. When the war started, we knew, and I saw how UU communities helped refugees while I was studying in the States, and that inspired me deeply. And when the war started, kids were asking me, what should we do? the bishop and everybody was trying to brainstorm about what should be our response to this situation. And we knew that we need to help the refugees. And thanks to our American friends, we kind of had a know-how on how to do that. And this is how we welcomed multiple hundreds families in Kolozsvár and housed them and provided them with food and everything that they needed. And this is how we were the first one. And this is not to brag about it, but to showcase as an example, the first institution to establish a Ukrainian school for refugees taught by refugee teachers. And this is a news piece article that I can share in the screen. There's me giving an interview, where I can share in the chat if you are interested about this project as well. And I'm going to stop this guest lecture and move on to the Q&A session. But I want you to listen to a little bit of a musical intermezzo while we are changing between this lecture and the question and answers. And this is 5 days after the first refugee family arrived to our school and to Kolozsvár. They arrived on the 8th of March, and this this is a youth worship for the university students in Kolozsvár. And I needed to preach, and that was established like 2 months before. And the first family that arrived turned out to be a musician family. And I asked them if they want to be part of this worship. They were housed in the school, and it was the biggest de profundis moment for my life. So it was the most profound experience, and I want you to watch um, a 3 minute sentence of the last song that was sang by our Ukrainian refugees. I hope you can hear it in a second.
If there's any audio at this point, we can't hear it.
You cannot. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass the link in the chat, and I'm gonna. But yeah, I think it would be meaningful for you to watch it. It's at the end. You should not listen to my preaching, but you should be listening towards the end of the video. C'est la vie.
Thank you so much, Reverend Zsolt. I'm so glad that the students were able to kind of see, and experience. I was just fortunate. Starr King sent me and Amy September for the 4th annual International Convocation of Unitarian Universalist Women. And so that was, I think, was that fall 2025, right? Or no, 2024.
2024. It
Yes.
was a long time ago. You should come back.
I do. So let's, we have about 20 more minutes together. Definitely, want students to kind of be engaged. Questions you have. If you wouldn't mind too, Zsolt, if they have follow-up questions, would you mind putting your email in the chat? Yeah. So at this point, folks have any thoughts, comments, things you want to ask Zsolt about any of the amazing topics, 450-year history in 20 minutes. I'm kind of curious while students are thinking of, can you talk a little bit, Zsolt, from your perspective as the global UU hat? I don't think students kind of have a good sense of, like who is involved in global Unitarian Universalism. If you could answer that question, and then we'll go to Allison. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Well, basically everybody is involved by ad literam. Basically, if you're a Unitarian, you're part of the UU Global Network. However, when it comes to how you are involved, that is, what Kevin is asking me. The UU Global Network. So, in 1 minute, my elevator speech about it. There were two very big organizations sponsored by the International Council of UUs and the UU Partner Church Council. Both of them got dissolved at the beginning of COVID. It was a beautiful 30-year history of working together as UUs. And during the COVID, they realized that they need to switch their narrative and they need to switch their mind around how we are working together in an international context. We are trying to dismantle imperialism, post-colonialism, and a lot of the things that you will be or you are already studying at Starr. And we are trying to rebuild right now a UU global network that is not a formal institution. We don't want to be the United Nations of UUs, but it is a looser platform where struggling small communities can share their struggles, and maybe a community in Africa will be able to bring a new cultural context that could help them. This is the vision that we are kind of having. This is why I shared the Liz Lady is in our team, yes, Kirby, and Liz Lady is one of our most active members from the UK Unitarians. There is a leadership and design team that is kind of the governing body of the UU Global Network. I am one of the members, Morgan McLean, who is the director of global engagement at the UUA. Dr. Elias Ortega, who is the president of Midville Lombard. One person from Brazil, Carol Maciel. One person from Northeast India, where one of the biggest and most significant Unitarian communities are, Juban Lamar. And who am I forgetting? Lee Slade from the UK Unitarians. And we are welcoming 2 new members from Africa, hopefully next month. And we are also very, very happy to announce new positions in the UU Global Network, for which everybody can apply. And there will be many, many great things happening, hopefully in the next 1 year. We have been debilitating for 5 years on how to re-envision the international collaboration, and hopefully the fruits are going to come. Alison. Yeah.
I think
Sorry,
Carol
Catherine.
Maciel is a student at Starr King, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. The
She's
most
in one of my
important information.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess I just wondered, I don't have a very, how do I want to, I want to know what you think makes resistance possible. You
Mhm.
you talked about being a minority, being the Hungarian minority, being the liberal minority, and you persist, right? You keep going. And
Yeah.
I mean, you are structured very differently than the US is, but I guess I'm hoping that maybe you could say something hopeful.
Well, I will try.
Not too much, not to put too much on you, but save us.
Well, I'm in a way easier position because I'm not living under Trump. Well, truth. Truth is what makes us resilient. When you discover truth, nothing can take it away from you. And that's the story of Unitarianism. When the Bible started to get printed and was translated, people started to realize that, oh, good Lord, this Holy Trinity thing is something that was put in the Bible later, in 300 years after Jesus. And people like Michael Servetus, David Francisc, and a lot of people in the US and the UK, Carpenter, and many other folks, realized that I discovered the truth, that God is one. If there is a God, that is one, not three. And they started preaching about it. Yes, they were put in prison. Yes, they were killed in prison, but truth set them free. And no government, no outside force, power can take away that truth from you. When we know that we are right, that's it. That's it. I think simply this is how I can put forward. And then there are so many inspiring stories all around the world from Unitarians and UUs that you need to stand up for your truthfulness. Is it hard at times? Is it hard for us at the moment with LGBTQ issues? Yes. However, with the magic of small steps, I know that we will achieve our success. If we would be going head on about this topic, we would be creating a huge danger for our church. However, if we establish a strategy from A to B from B to C, I know that we will be successful because truth is on our side. One interesting thing that I will share with you, the coat of arms of the Unitarian Church, and I'm going to share my screen once again, and I'll take only 30 seconds of your life with this. Unitárius címer. This is the coat of arms of the Unitarian Church in Transylvania. The coat of arms has many, many elements, but the most central elements are a snake and a dove. Animal ministry. Let's go. Why are there a snake and a dove? When Jesus sent out the disciples, after teaching everything to the disciples, he told them that I'm going to send you out as wolves among the sheep. Now, you realize what will happen. As sheep among the wolves, sorry. So you kind of know what happens to sheep that go among the wolves. I'm going to keep you with two things. Be wise as a serpent and humble as a dove. And that is in the Bible, Matthew 10:16. So Jesus basically asks us, Transylvania Unitarians in the coat of arms, but everybody, to use our wisdom and use our humility. And the two together are creating what is our strategy on the side of truth and justice. When it is hard, we need to use our wisdom and our humility. So with the wisdom, we are formulating what we want, and with our humility, we can achieve the things in an organized manner. If we would only use our wisdom, we would be just bragging about our truthfulness and we are right, and we are provided by science. If we would use only our humility, we would give out all our resources because we are such a good, humble person. But if we use the both together, we can construct programs that would create meaningful change for a long time, and that's humility and wisdom together. I think that's my elevator speech for your question. And I hope it answered it. Brian.
Yeah, so you've been speaking a lot about truth, and I hope this doesn't put us too far beyond the scope of today's stuff. But okay, so what I'm wondering is, what is it like to work in coalition with American Unitarians, given that our communities are largely multi-religious and humanist since the 1960s, whereas your church is largely Christian? You talk about truth, but some might argue we hold different truths. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm seeing your question in the chat as well. How it is working with American Unitarians? It's incredibly fun. Differences are there to be fun to explore. I preached in two UU congregations for a year between 2018 and 2019. I was serving two congregations. One is Unity Temple in Oak Park, outskirts of Chicago, UNESCO World Heritage Site, upper middle class society. The other congregation was Third Unitarian Church of Chicago, one of the most impoverished neighborhoods of Chicago. And my eye opened a lot about the American society while serving these two very distinctive communities. Do we have different truths? That's a very, very good question. In particular questions, I'm sure that we do. In the approach against different values, I'm sure that we do. But isn't that normal and natural? We live in a European context, in a historically multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and deeply, deeply rooted in Europe. You are living in America, and you live in a totally different context in this regard. Also multi-ethnic, also multi-religious, but in a different context, with a different foundation. And when we are telling you that we are Christian, it raises a good couple of eyebrows. I know that because I have an American eye since my experience in America. And why is that? Why are we calling ourselves Christian? So when I'm telling you that we are Christian, it raises eyebrows in the States. When we are telling that we are liberal Christian, it raises eyebrows in Transylvania. So as liberal Christians, we are too liberal for Transylvania, too Christian for America. But we are Transylvania Unitarians. That's what we are doing. In our society, in our context, we are the youth. We are the radical left in theology and spirituality in our advocacy and faith in action networks. If you would come to our churches and you would see that men and women sit differently in our churches, you would say that this is nuts. This is too conservative. This is segregated. But it was how ancestors and grandmothers and grandfathers lived, and I cannot change that even if I would put my biggest advocacy as a minister. So there are things like this. Yes. I hope I answered some of your questions, Brian, and from that question I can foresee that if you come to Transylvania, we could have 3 or 4 good beers and discuss about this for hours, because it's a topic that we need. Melanie.
That's the best part of those, being able to just, have some beers in Cluj. It was everything. Melanie, we see your hand.
Could you speak a little bit more about the mission of the Global Network, and is that something that is it just ministers that are involved with that, or day ministers, or are there other opportunities for those who are not yet ordained?
Yep. Excellent question, and thank you very much for it. If it would be for ministries, I would be quitting. For ministers, I would be quitting the Global Network. No, it is for everybody, and it is designed specifically to give a platform for every single Unitarian Universalist, or Free Christian voice. The Free Christians are in the UK. The community is right now emerging, so we are just now launching some of our platforms. This is why I would love you to keep an eye on the website and our social media. I will share some more links in the chat after I finish my answer. The vision for the Global Network is that if Melanie is having a question, has an idea, has a vision, has a dream, wants to solve something, they will find a multicultural lens and answer in the Global Network. So sometimes only American answers can solve American questions, but sometimes you can have a really innovative method if a community has the similar struggle but a different cultural approach, from India, from the Philippines, from Australia, from Africa, from Transylvania. So the vision is that we would be creating a UU consultative network where the partners from all across the globe are connected, not through financial gain, not through monetary value, not through infrastructure, but through the ideas that they have. And everybody is welcome in that. You would share your idea with many other folks that would be incredibly useful in different contexts, and you would receive many ideas. And besides that, it would be fun to keep a contact with different people, and there will be a lot of great projects organized. We are organizing pilgrimages to different parts. So we are organizing pilgrimages to Transylvania, but many other people would be organizing pilgrimages, spiritual pilgrimages to other parts of the world. That is one type of project. We organized the school choir tour that brought in many, many people and created many great youth exchanges. And I know that there will be a lot of academic exchanges between seminaries and the many, many exciting stuff. We just need to dream. And we need to have the financial means for that as well, but that will be figured somehow. We figured it out already.
To put in a plug, we do have a Unitarian Beginnings and Heritage trip in Poland. It's going to be this year, May 20th to May 26th. The Balish Scholar is actually offering $500 scholarships to help get students on this trip. And so, if you can make it May 20th to May 26th, there is some scholarship money available. This is through the Starr King School for the Ministry has had a Balish Scholar program for 30 years. Maybe, Zsolt, could you briefly mention, I don't think students really know about the Balish Scholars as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's 30 or 32 years. I think it was born with me, 1993, not by me, but together with me. I was born in 1993. And I think right after the communist regime fell in Transylvania, the Americans were trying to figure out how to help the Transylvanian Unitarians. And this is how they established the Balash Scholar, which is a meaningful project that the Starr King is organizing, where a Transylvanian Unitarian minister was able before COVID to spend a year in the States preaching in different congregations all around the United States, bringing their own Transylvanian heritage, but also learning a lot about US organizing and congregational organizing. And believe me that the Bollash Scholar contributed to many, many emerging communities being here in Transylvania with the example that they saw in the US. After COVID, we are trying to redesign together with Reverend Kevin and with some other folks this Bollash Scholar into becoming a global uh, supportive platform, and I'm very excited for that new beginning as well. And the Bollash Scholar is still one of the strongest at the General Assembly of the UUA. Both Dr. Stephanie Kruzmark and Reverend Dr. Rosemary, vouched and basically shared with us that this program will be one of the most fruitful and most meaningful program for Starking, but also for relationship between Transylvanian Americans and most likely and hopefully other communities around the world as well.
My heart is full, Reverend Joel. Thank you for taking the time at now it's probably 3 a.m, I imagine, out there.
It's only two. It's
Thank
fine.
you so much. I hope for the students, this is just the beginning of your interest in global Unitarian Universalism. There's lots of ways that we're trying to get joint worships, LGBT groups across the globe, supporting for religious educators. I'm going to be moving to the Philippines next fall to be there for 2 years and serve the UU Church of the Philippines. And so, there's global Unitarian Universalism with a lot of the changes came around because of the widening the circle report, which looked at institutional racism in the UUA. And so now that report is kind of looking at, how do we create relationships that are rooted in justice and equity, and pluralism, and not, I think in the past, relationships and partnerships were kind of only around money. And that was, I know, a big, and so how do we move beyond that framework and into really this justice, equity, transformation kind of place. So maybe to kind of close out this time together, and I think with the class, we'll take like a 10-minute break right after Reverend Zsolt, if you have a benediction or a closing prayer that you would like to offer, this class for this time and this place. And just thank you so much for being here with us and spending your early morning hours with us.
But thank you very much also for showing up and attending and not being bored by all the history and stuff that I've been sharing with you. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful for all these connections and all the ideas that we are bringing forward together. And I'm very grateful for all the future hopes that we can share with each other. And I think that the world is becoming a better place when, despite we are not sharing the same culture, heritage, language, but the language of universal love is the one that we are all speaking, and that is what is changing the world through different languages, through different approaches. But love is ever standing, and it will prevail.
Mm. Love will prevail. Amen. And thank you so much, Reverend Zsolt. And for the class, we'll come back on at 4:10. So thank you all so much and see you soon.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.